Merhaba,
Hello,
ülkemizdeki gerçekler program serisine hoş geldiniz.
welcome to the Facts About Our Country program series. Following the third program on 27th of January, during which we hosted Panayota Dimitrios, the board member of European Implementation Network and Green Helsinki Monitor, today we're hosting Ms. Hülya Emin, who is the president of Cultural Association of Turkish Women in the Prefecture of Trodopi, established in 2001 and applied to European Court of Human Rights for not having been registered by the competent courts. So welcome, Ms. Julia. And without losing much time, I would like to start with our first question. And as we know, the Rodopi Cultural Association was established in 2001. What are the objectives of the association? As you have mentioned, we were established on 21st of March in 2001, and it was as a result of long-term process. What I mean by this, it was established within the roof of other excuse me, actually there were other women associations which were functioning under a certain roof. For example, before this association was established, the Western Thrace University, Women University Association was established. And before all, there was a need to expand on the basis. And this is actually a realization of a dream, long-term dream. And our objective actually is to convene the women under a cultural roof and to organize them and accordingly to help them with their problems. In the Western Thrace, you have made an application for registry of your association, which was established by 42 women. Actually, your association was not registered by the competent courts. What was the justified reason for this? Actually, there are two reasons for this. After the establishment of the association in April, within the framework of the application of the procedure, in order to register in the book of the associations, we applied to the court in Rodopi, but as a result, we had negative answer, and the reason for this was the third article. And in the third article, it was saying that there was no impression and no expression of the culture and religion. This was the reason, and it was mentioned in short that the ones who are living in Rodopi with a petition, they can apply to become a member of an association, and they can even leave the membership of the association. And it was mentioned that this was misleading. And after following this resolution, we have applied to the Court of Appeal. And as a result of this resolution, the Turkish name, which was in the name of Cultural Association of Turkish Women in the Prefecture of Rodopi, we were informed that we could not be registered because of this reason. And following the resolution, how the process progressed. And of course, these court processes are so confusing. We're just talking about a long-term process. So as I mentioned, it was established in 2001. And once again, we applied to the Court of Appeal because we had a negative resolution, and the Court of Appeal on the 17th of January 2003, it made its verdict, and it was also once again a denial. And in the upcoming process, in order to be done with the domestic court, we applied to the higher court. And on 22nd of February 2003, we appealed to the Court of Appeal. And in 2005, on 28th of January, there was this hearing held. And once again, within the same year, the resolution was made, and the Court of Appeal also gave the negative verdict. And there was only the way, or the only way for us was left to apply to the Court of Human Rights of the European Court of Human Rights. Okay, in 2005, in the application you have made, the court made a verdict that you were right, that Greece had breached the freedom of expression and the freedom of establishing the association. And as you have mentioned, so what is the result after this? As you have mentioned, the European Court of Appeal made the good decision, a great decision, and this really made us happy, but it was very short period of time. And just after 14 years, we still see that the decisions of the European Court of Human Rights are not still being executed. And once again, we started another struggle, this legal struggle. And what was this? Just showing the justification of the European Court of Human Rights. We wanted that this denial to be nullified. And this was the legal process that was applied and followed. And once again, we had negativity. And until 2017, this continued. And in 2017, with a change at the Assembly, there has been a change. And this was about the decisions made at the European Court of Human Rights. They should be, they would be applied in a free way and a more flexible way, but it was really cumbersome. This change was very cumbersome, but unfortunately it could not be passed through the Assembly because of the rejections, and also the minority MPs at the Assembly, just independent of which party they are from, they already also voted no to this law. And once again, we started another legal process, and once again, we started the process at Trace Court of Appeal. And once again, we made an application to have our association recognized. However, once again, we have come across with this verdict that this was also negative. And once again, this decision was brought to the Court of Appeal. And as a result, we made the application to the Court of Appeal officially, and we were given the date as 18th of March 2022, where this hearing would be held. But we mentioned that thinking that this date is quite a long time. Apart from this Cultural Association of Turkish Women in the Prefecture of Rodopi, we also made a petition to the Court of Appeal regarding Evros Minority Youth Association as well, in order to have this hearing made and held before this date. And accordingly, on the 1st of October last year, this case was tried and heard at the court related to our association as well as the Evros Minority Youth Association. Now we're waiting that the resolution to be made, the verdict to be made, and just in normal time, we expect to hear about the verdicts within 6 months of time. Now we will see what is going to happen. And Begurusta and others case, where your association is also involved, we have that there is this appeal made to the Court of Appeal, but this was also denied, and unfortunately it was denied. And within this case, related to this case, the Evros Minority Youth Association is also expecting to have the resolution. And what do you think about this? So actually, we're not very optimistic about this. The Zanti-Turkish Union is before us, and when they have also come across with a negative verdict. So what we think is that we will be also having and receiving the same decision, and we expect to have a negative decision, unfortunately. And we had a new development. So the verdict related to the Zanti-Turkish Union, it was declared last year in June. And in order to protest this, there was a protest meeting that was held to protest this decision in leadership of the Zanti-Turkish Union. And yesterday, Ozan Ahmetoğlu, the president of Zanti-Turkish Union, he was called to give a statement, present a statement, and now we see that there is a prosecution going on, which it is related. It's related to the decision that there are provocations made against the Greek courts, and as well as the decision of the local courts, domestic courts. And now there is actual and situation which hardens, stiffens this situation. So we also believe that these cases are political. So for that reason, in such a strict and such a tense situation, it would not be right and logical to expect a positive outcome. The European Committee of Ministers of the Council of Europe has made a decision, and related to this resolution, there has been an interim resolution made. And actually, what is your expectation from the Committee of Ministers of the Council of Europe? And actually, before all, it's really important that the Committee of Ministers of the Council of Europe follows these cases, and we think that these cases should be followed them closely. And it is not only, the problem is not only related to Greece, there is the situation which harms the democracy in Europe. And it also, the application or execution of the decisions of the Court of Human Rights is not something local. And the decisions of the European Court of Human Rights, the execution of them is really important for the European human rights system, because there are commitments for the renewal of the commitments for protection of the rights of the minorities is important. So when we consider all these, we see that
Yunanistan'da uyarılarda bulunmasının bizim için bir kez daha
it's important that the European Court of Human Rights should follow the warnings, should make the warnings, and these actually have to be carried further beyond. For example, the breaching procedure should be now activated, should be operated.
Because hayatlarından kimsenin 14 yılı bırakın.
Because and it is not possible, or it's not acceptable that a minute of freedom of the people are stolen. So the Zanti Turkish Women Association also has applied to the European Court of Human Rights. And we know that if your association was registered, then it would be 21 years old. And when it is a situation that the associations are not registered, then what is the impact of this not registering of these associations? What is the impact on the women? Well, I would like to give an example. When this association was established, I was not married. And during that time, I married and I gave a birth to my child, my daughter, and now she's 17 years old. And what happens within that time, all people's lives change. But there's also something which doesn't change. It's just this non-execution of the verdict of the court. But we're just talking of a very naive association which deals with the rights of the women and culture, and with culture as well. And in Western Thrace, for the women in Western Thrace, this is really a big loss for the women not having registered these associations. In a very contemporary countries, we know that the women's rights are not implemented as required, not as a full status. And there is also the dominancy of the men. And we're just talking of a region where it really lags behind in this country. And also the minority women certainly need an additional support in this regard. So this is really a big loss, not having all these associations registered. So just instead of a last word, I would like to mention something. So in line with the violation of establishing an association just representing the women in this region, what would you like to tell to the authorities in our country? It's very simple. Actually, we want equality, we want tolerance, we want respect. And actually, there are certain facts, and these facts with certain policies, with certain court verdicts cannot be changed. In Western Thrace, the facts actually are richness. They are not a tool of threat. And we expect our differences should be respected. This is all we want. This is so simple. In our country, in the field of democracy and human rights, we tried to contribute to this domain. And in this program series, we thank to Ms. Julia for being with us because of her very sincere and frank answers and replies. And in the next program series, we will be together within 2 weeks of time and hope to see you again. Until then, thank you. Bye-bye.